welcome to another edition of the Career and Technical Education Podcast. I'm Randall Hust. Our co-host Brandon Grace is actually traveling with students right now, and so we wish them the best, and I know they'll be home soon. Have here with us today two wonderful ladies from our community. We have Miss Christine Allen from LEDA and Miss Marie Rieger, and I'm sorry, did I say that
Rieger,
right?
you were close.
I was close. Marie Rieger with the Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to talk about that relationship that we have with career and technical education, with our community, our industry partners, and really what you guys do in so many areas, but especially as it relates to CTE. And so, Chris, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Christine Allen. I'm the Director of Workforce Development for the Lubbock Economic Development Alliance, and also manage our Foreign Trade Zones program here in Lubbock, which is a program that benefits businesses that import significantly. I've worked at LEDA now for 17 years as of 2 days ago.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
so a long time, yeah. LEDA is the economic development arm for the city of Lubbock, and we work to attract businesses to move to Lubbock. We have a whole team that does that and travels nationally to recruit businesses to our area. We also have an individual, our director of retention, that works with existing businesses that are looking to grow and expand and may need assistance, with permitting and advice on how to expand and resources and those type of things. I do the workforce development piece because both our existing businesses as well as our businesses that are moving to Lubbock are going to need labor. Mm-hmm. And we figured out a long time ago that Lubbock has historically had a low unemployment rate. Mm-hmm. We don't have that many individuals out there that want to work. So we've turned our attention over the last 15 years to our future workforce. And giving them the skills to make the career decisions they need to make that's best for them, that's best for their community, that's relevant in our community, so that they can move forward. Mm-hmm. And so since 2015, we've partnered with our Workforce Solutions partners, and we have applied for and received over 15 high-demand job training grants, which we turn around and then we give those grants to our area school districts. And this is a 15-county area. This is regional because we understand that a lot of our labor comes from our region, right. And we want to keep our own and we want to retain our own. And so, anyway, we have worked with our school districts for several years on grants, purchasing construction equipment, welding equipment, health science equipment, drone programs. It's been very, very exciting to see it evolve and continue. So essentially that, career and technical education is extremely important to us.
For sure.
And supporting our school districts and what you guys do every day is relevant and important to us. And our school districts have always been a great partner when businesses are looking to come to town. Right. They've opened up their state-of-the-art career and technical facilities so that the businesses can tour, so that they can see the community's investment in our students. Sure. And giving them the tools that they need. And it's made a big difference in some of those decisions on whether or not to come to Lubbock.
For sure. We've been the recipient of many things mm-hmm. that you guys are doing there with LEDA. And now this would not be unique to Lubbock either, right? No. I mean, I would assume that organizations like this happen probably across the nation. Would that be correct?
Yes. At least in Texas, I know the 28 workforce boards here in Texas are taking advantage of those high-demand grants. Right. And I think every state does workforce a little bit differently, so I'm sure there is some version sure. of what we're doing going on all over the nation.
Absolutely. Marie, tell us about yourself.
Yes. Well, Chris, congratulations on 17 years. That's incredible. I have been with the Lubbock Chamber of Commerce for 1 whole year and 1 month, so nice. Nowhere near 17 years. So I'm new to the area. I recently moved here from the Metroplex and excited to be here. I am the government relations manager, so I advocate for businesses on a local, state, and federal level. So I like to call myself the hidden secret behind the Chamber of Commerce, because the public part is luncheons and after hours and social things, and we have this great program where we're working behind the scenes to make sure that our businesses are represented in a correct way. If there is legislation or policies that are hurting them a certain way, we want to try to fix that quickly as possible. So we maintain great relationships with all the politicians. I'm not going to say that I like all of them, but I do get along with all of them. You and I recently went to Austin, and you got to see some of my role, introducing the leaders of Leadership Lubbock with the politicians in Austin. And I really, really enjoy my job. So I have that aspect, and then we have the Talent Pipeline Management Program, and I got to partner with Chris, and the Chamber of Commerce created a foundation. So we have a nonprofit, so we can get these grants and then distribute them throughout the community to help. And when I found out about this program, I'm just passionate about it. It's just one of those programs that makes you feel good. You have all these businesses and industries that need people. They all say, we need people to work. We need people to work. And then we have these talented high school students who are just brilliant. And not all of them are meant to go to college. And some of them are, some of them are not. But to help facilitate these relationships between their employers and the ISDs is just so special. It helps the students and the businesses and the community, and I really enjoy this aspect of the job.
I love the fact that, and you mentioned it, in Lubbock's, in our area, we've always had a low unemployment rate, but across the nation, that skills gap is just getting wider and wider, and we've talked about it 1,000 times, and you guys live this, that we've told everybody you got to go to college for many, many years, and now we're realizing that, hey, we really need plumbers and welders and electricians and carpenters and all of those things. And so the fact that we have folks like the Chamber that are advocates for the businesses, and the folks like Leader that are advocates for our community, and then folks like our secondary organizations that are advocates for these students, and that we're not competing, we're all at the same table, and we're all identifying the same problem and coming up with creative solutions. One of those creative solutions is actually the Talent Pipeline Management Program. And so that's really, it's been super exciting to see from the outside with our healthcare collaborative. And then now we're just recently started some new things too. So to start us off, just talk about what is the Talent Pipeline Management Program.
Sure, and I'll chime in first.
Yes, please do.
And LEDA has partnered with the Chamber on various programs for years, entrepreneurial programs, business initiatives, those type of things. So this was kind of a natural, organic partnership. And the Chamber brought us this program in around 2019, 2020. And the U.S. Chamber of Commerce launched this program in 2014. And it's a specific curriculum that mobilizes the business community to address the skills gap you just mentioned. Okay. And so they deployed all across the nation these TPM academies, essentially giving instructions on how to utilize the curriculum and how to bring it back to your community, how to figure out if this was going to benefit you, and then how to pick your collaboratives, pick your industry sectors, and then kick it off with utilizing the 6 strategies. But essentially, it's an employer-led initiative based on supply chain system. And the businesses lead this initiative. Training providers, workforce partners, education partners, et cetera, are all part of this group. But the business community is the one that leads it, drives it, but they're also the end customer. Mm-hmm. They get the worker, they get the labor, and so the skilled worker. And so that's the what makes the businesses want to participate in the program. So my chamber partner at the time, Angela Lambert, and I went through the Texas Academy during the pandemic, 2020. It was virtual, which it wasn't the best way to learn that, but you did what you did during the pandemic. Yeah. Hey, we came back, and then we were like, okay, well, which industry sector are we going to choose to start with? And the easiest one was healthcare, because at that time, you recall, the nurses were leaving, going and traveling. People were just burned out. They were leaving, and so that was the obvious one. So that is the one that we started with, and in 2021. 3 of our largest healthcare champions University Medical Center, Covenant Health, as well as the Texas Tech Health Sciences Center, kicked off a letter inviting everybody to a meeting about it, and that's how it got started. So those were the big three. Our training providers now are at the table. We've got various partners that participate in this, and this group has met fairly faithfully over the last 3 years. We've gotten various grants over the years, which has only helped the group gain momentum.
Sure.
Part of the TPM strategy does not include grants. And so the grants were kind of icing on the cake. They allowed us to give scholarships. They allowed us to purchase equipment for our training providers. They allowed us to do the lunch and learn events for middle school students, things that really weren't embedded in the curriculum to begin with. And so it's just kind of, it's allowed this group just to kind of gel and continue and want to keep meeting and participate in this. And as you mentioned, and as Maureen has alluded to, not only do we have this strong healthcare collaborative that's continuing to meet, we just started a construction collaborative,
Right.
and they have been touring our school districts and kind of figuring out what's being provided in our great CTE programs. And then we've got a manufacturing collaborative that's kind of working along parallel to that as well. So, and these collaboratives are meeting all over the nation.
Right.
There's IT collaboratives, there's drone collaboratives, there's health science collaboratives. There's just, anything you want to make a collaborative, any industry sector that needs to address the skills gap, you can do this methodology for that.
Correct. And I was lucky enough. I got to go to DC. The pandemic was not over, but we moved on, and there were 20 chambers in the room in EDCs, and they're all trying to get their programs off the ground. And I just kept bragging on Chris and the efforts of my predecessors and how well the program was working. And it felt so good to learn from Chris at the same time, go through the training, work with this collaborative that was already in existence, and to see it work. So it wasn't just training of slides and text. I got to see, this is what this means. Employer-led, I understand. Because multiple times, Amy, she refers to the success of their program is because of TPM. Mm-hmm. They couldn't even get into Covenant to do clinicals until we got everyone in the same room and said, what are our hurdles here? What are we struggling with? And that's the biggest part of this program is it's like Chris said, it's employer-led to get everyone in the room and talk about how to solve problems.
That's absolutely my favorite part of that, and I don't think I really understood exactly that basis until you said that. But that's been the challenge all along is we've had employers come to us and say, why aren't you producing better kids? And the sad thing is districts and schools are limited. We're limited by state law. We're limited by FERPA laws. We're limited by things that we can do. We're certainly limited by budgets. I mean, we have a finite amount of money to be able to do what we can do, and CTE classes are very expensive. And so I think we felt like we were doing the best we could, and maybe even not even understanding the problem that the end user had. And so the fact that this is driven by those industry partners, that to me, that was the key that unlocked the box.
Yes, and I also like to bring up security because of today's crisis. Companies can't just walk up to schools anymore.
That's right.
So for us to help to facilitate these relationships and that they have access to these talented teachers and students, another hurdle we just jumped over.
Absolutely. So walk me through the process when you're talking about the TPM. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? If, let's say, a district out there wants to get involved or a community wants to get involved, what does that look like?
Well, I think since this is a chamber program, and some EDCs do it as well, mm-hmm. But I would say contact your Chamber of Commerce and see if they are doing this program. Okay. If not, contact your economic development entity. And if not, we've got contacts at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We can at least figure out what's going on in your state mm-hmm. or your region and refer you to that. But my guess is even if a chamber or an EDC is not doing TPM, they're doing something like that. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
They're pulling together roundtables. They're trying to get all the same conversations in one room because that's that's essentially what this does. It's structured, and because we know everybody's trying to do their best to make it happen for our students. And all these different conversations are going on separately. What TPM does is bring it all into one room so that you're not repeating. You can gain a little bit more traction, those type of things. But I would just say reach out to either your workforce, your chamber, or your EDC partners and find out. And there's different academies. The U.S. Chamber does have an official academy you can go to. Most of it, I think, is virtual. But there's no reason a training provider couldn't go through that academy and at least learn the 6 steps. So essentially, you're just solving problems. You're identifying pain points, and that's pain points not only for the businesses but also for the training providers. You mentioned not enough money.
Right.
Well, businesses, not enough labor. Everybody's got their not enough. But if you bring it all to the same table, you can work to solve those problems.
Yes, and the teachers are busy teaching. They have standards that they have to, to keep up with, and then the businesses are busy doing their business. So we launched the Construction Collaborative expecting it to take maybe a year to get. I mean, we really thought it was going to be a little more difficult and take longer. But as soon as we got everyone in the room, one of the construction companies said, "Oh, I didn't know that there was a cabinet making class at Lubbock Cooper, and I graduated from there, and not 9 years ago. How do I not know this? Why are the schools not letting people know?" Well, they are. I said, "Do you have, to the construction company, do you have social media?" "No." Well, how would you know? I mean, you're busy working, they're busy teaching, so it's just a matter of collaborating.
I think that's been one of the cool things is seeing these business owners that get to actually see what the teachers are having to go through. And a lot of people think, if you're a teacher, you just, it's a pretty easy gig. And,
summer's off.
9 to 3, summer's off, whatever. And not realizing that you have, 30 different personalities and 30 different learning abilities and 30 different ways you have to present that same lesson. And then somebody comes and says, "What are you doing for mastery for every one of these kids?" And you're like, "I'm just trying to teach, man." So, tell me about, you mentioned those 6 steps. So let's talk to us about what are those 6 steps that a organization would go through as they went through this TPM process.
Sure. First, you bring your group together. And I mentioned our 3 champions that brought our group together. And you just start to foster those relationships. Obviously, our 2 hospital systems compete, and we understand that. And so our training providers compete. And so you bring everybody to the table. You let them know what TPM is and what it isn't, and just kind of ensure everyone that this is a safe environment. No, you don't have to disclose your most proprietary information and your deepest, darkest secrets. But you do need to commit to working the process at least enough to where it's going to be beneficial and the results can be analyzed. So you bring everyone together. You do that. You engage in demand planning, and what that is, what are like maybe the top 5 most in demand positions.
Okay.
And of those top 5, what could we fix easiest and first and fastest? And so for the Healthcare Collaborative, it was LVN, RN, patient care technician, medical assisting, and CNA.
Okay.
And those also are 5 pretty quick programs ranging from just a few weeks to a 2-year program. And so our group identified those positions, and I believe at the time they projected over 5,200 vacancies in those 5 positions over the next 2 to 3 years when we did that demand planning. So you identify those.
Now, the cool thing about that is 4 of the 5 of those are taught in high school.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Then you kind of analyze the competency and credential requirements, which for healthcare is very easy because, it's a state certification. Right. And you really don't deviate on state certifications. And so it is what it is. Your position and your responsibilities might deviate somewhat, but you're held to what the state requires. So that step was pretty easy. We checked that one off the list.
For me, that some people struggle with just the job description, just a communication error of how you are describing or labeling that job, and what qualifications are needed.
Right. Step 4 is you analyze your talent flows. So training providers, Lubbock Christian, Wayland, South Plains, Texas Tech, where are you getting your students from? Right. Where are they coming from? Or are you having luck getting a big pool of them from Dallas? Or are you pulling them mostly from our area? And that's kind of what we knew, and that's what we found out from our training providers. And then you go to your hospital systems, you go to your businesses, and you're like, where are you having good luck sourcing your talent? Right. And it was different for every business. Some got it more out of this college, some got more out of this college, or some were recruiting from this area. And so you identify what's working and where those talent flows are, and then you analyze those. And then that next step is you just build your supply chains. You see where the bulk of those students are, and we know where they are. They're coming out of our CTE programs with hopefully some type of basic certification, knowing they're either going to go to nursing school or maybe they want to go to work in a hospital immediately. And so you connect all of those dots, and then you just see how it works. And then I mentioned that we were very fortunate to get those extra grants. Sure. So that, I think, was just a super feel-good moment for everybody, knowing, hey, guys, we gave away this much in scholarships to help our students stay in school. Right. We were able to help some of our training providers purchase XYZ equipment so that they could eventually expand the capacity of their programs. Because another thing that we realized during all of the analysis was that we don't have enough training seats.
That's right.
I mentioned those here on the South Plains. I mentioned those 5,200 job projections. We have approximately 1,200 training seats in our area every year. So we're turning away interested students and qualified students that pass the exams to get in. We need more training seats. We need to expand the capacity of that. So anyway, so you just analyze those kind of things. Like I said, the grants kind of helped with some of the K through 12 career exploration education. We help support our students, help purchase some equipment for our training providers, and then you just keep doing it, and you have the continuous improvement, and that's the final step. And that's kind of where this group is. Our construction collaborative's at the very, very beginning of those steps. So that's essentially the sequence of how it works.
Gotcha. And we also remind the employers, and they know this, to focus on upskilling. Mm-hmm. What creative ways can you find to, utilize the employees that you have, train them right after they're working to improve your issues and their employment. Like we met with Covenant, and they're working with their janitorial program. Is that right? With the GD, and they're teaching them how to read and write, cool, so they can go on to further their career.
That is very cool. I love the Richard Branson quote that I believe it was somebody asked him, what if we train these people up and they leave? And he's like, well, what if we don't? Mm-hmm. Like, what if we keep them where they're at? And they're, we want them to be better employees. If they stay with us, great. If they don't, they're going to be amazing somewhere else. That's right. So I love the fact that this program has helped to facilitate those conversations, but also for you guys to recognize, to be able to pour into that pipeline. And just to speak to the lunch and learns that you guys have helped us get started, that was one area, and it's funny because it creates another problem, but that was one area where not enough kids knew, and especially kids in underserved populations, kind of had it in their heads that they couldn't go into some fields, medical profession being one of them. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to go into a middle school, provide a lunch for a group of kids, and let them play with stethoscopes and ox machines and blood pressure cuffs and all those things with professionals there going, hey, this is how this works, and let's listen to your heart. And these kids' eyes just light up, and they're like, wow, this is something that I can really do. And so that was brilliant. I mean, that was a great move. Now, go back to that 1,200 seats that we have. And so we're in a situation here in the high school where we have to turn away kids because we don't have enough room for them in different CTE classes. And so I think we turned away 125 kids in construction alone last year, over 100 in welding. So it's amazing. We have the kids that want to take the classes, and we've got to be able to expand our training facilities for sure. Mm-hmm.
The students get it. They're smart.
Oh, yeah, they know.
They understand it.
I love taking the tours and just watching them enjoy school. Sure. They are engaged. They are learning. They're up and working. I mean, facility looks like a construction site, from plumbing,
Right.
electric, HVAC, and then you're building an entire home
Right.
that you move, that
Right.
people live in.
Right.
It's like you said, it's not just dog houses and sheds.
Mhm.
This
And a
is-
lot of times the kids, I know for me, I taught construction for several years, and a lot of times the kid would just get math when they were actually using it to lay out a house. It's like, I never understood this before, but when it's in a practical application, they really get it. I think a lot of these kids really excel in different areas like that, so that's super cool. Talk to me about the challenges that you guys have faced instituting the pipeline management program. Have there
Well,
been any?
Yes, there have been. There has been, just as far as funding and making sure we try to keep that group engaged. We've got a meeting in May, and UMC has opened up their new health and wellness hospital for that meeting. So that's very, very exciting. Give everybody a chance to tour that. And one of the things I think that we're wanting to do to kind of keep it fresh is we're looking for another TPM healthcare collaborative in the United States to maybe pipe them in by Zoom, just kind of talk through what they're doing, just bounce ideas off of each other. Because we want this group to feel engaged. We want them to feel that their time is worthwhile, and we want their leadership that has committed them and their time to feel like it's going to ultimately benefit their hospital. So to me, it's always been worried that somebody's going to get bored and not come to our meetings anymore. But we still have about 25 to 30 that show up. So
we feed them. It helps.
Yes.
That helps.
Feed them.
and there's good engagement. But I know they don't just come for TPM. And this is something I wanted to say. One of the ultimate wonderful things that have come out of this is all the side relationships that Marie mentioned, and all the side problem solving that has occurred. Things that we didn't even know about that we find out later, and then it's like, oh, because I met him at that TPM meeting,
Right?
And then we were able to fix that issue, and I'm like, okay, well, all right, that's what keeps us going, I think, in this.
That's
And
awesome.
one of the challenges is communication with deadlines.
Oh, yeah.
So, we have grants and applications and meetings, and it just helps when you get them face to face. Everyone's kind of tired of Zoom, and to get people in the room and establish those relationships, so we're not just beating them over the head saying, did you get that grant? Did you get that application? They understand the importance, or they tend to be, or take the initiative a little faster when they know and care about these people.
Well, it helps a lot. Like you said, you're dealing with busy people, whether you're dealing on the teacher side or on the business side, you're dealing with busy people, and you guys really have to keep the plate spinning. One thing I've seen, and you mentioned the not really fighting for the same people, but there's some competitiveness. What we're seeing in the construction industry, it's been our experience in our advisory committees, is that everybody now is so desperate. There's not any competition anymore. It's just like, hey, we've all got to get on board and make it happen. Is that what you're seeing as well on TPM side?
It is, and we've seen it with healthcare. We're seeing it with construction, and we're seeing it with manufacturing. They're finally, I guess, for lack of a better term, letting their guard down and letting us help. You know what I mean? Or letting us facilitate them.
Yeah.
We're not helping. We're facilitators. They do the work. But yeah, and that's nice. And I love the fact that if they're not able to find construction workers out in our population, they're turning to our high school students, because from what I understand, we've got some very, very talented construction high school students.
Absolutely.
And that can read a tape measure a whole lot better than I can. And so
That was a dang fright.
and so they're, if those businesses can help those students with just a few barriers, transportation, their schedule during the school year, they'll get a good employee.
Absolutely.
And the schools don't compete either. I mean, yes, you do at competition. We know, well, we're better at this. But I've really enjoyed watching all of the districts working together, that they collaborate together. They share ideas.
Absolutely.
Well, this is working for us. You should try this. You should, and I really enjoyed watching that on the educational side.
It's funny that if people don't know, you just assume there's competition everywhere, and it's like, I'm on the phone with other directors and coordinators all the time. I just like, because, I mean, we share everything, and you steal from other districts, and it's fine. Yeah.
One of the things I did want to say, and it wasn't maybe at our last meeting, it was a couple of meetings ago, and I just said to our healthcare group, I'm like, I wish the students knew that there's a group of grown-ups that sit in a room once a month and spend hours and hours on trying to make things better for them.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think one of our CTE coordinators piped up and said, they know.
Yeah.
They know.
They know. Yeah. They see it.
Which made me feel good.
Oh,
I was like, oh,
for
well,
sure.
well, good.
For
Good.
sure.
They
That's
know.
Cool. What, this is an amazing program. What other things are you guys doing? Because I know TPM is not the only thing you do. What other things are you guys doing to help increase that pipeline and bridge those gaps?
Well, I mentioned those high demand grants. We are definitely continuing on with them, and just working with our high schools in any shape or form that we can to assist them. And I think getting our businesses in the door. We've got the teacher externship program now that's on year 4. And that's an important program kind of on the flip side where teachers go out and spend 3 days with a business learning how math is used in everyday work life, how language, if you're a bilingual teacher, how Spanish plays into all of that, and how you might bring that back and write a lesson plan for your classroom. So I think we're just continuing to try to connect our businesses with our education partners. Until I got into this role, I really didn't fully understand how different education and business, how they are, how they think. And you would think, oh, it's not that different. It's not that different.
It is.
And then I go to a meeting at Region 17, and how they facilitate that meeting is completely different how I facilitate our meetings, and vice versa. It's just very different. And like I said, until you work in this field, you don't realize that. So we're trying to continue to connect in every way that we can.
And there's no black or white way to do this program. We're constantly brainstorming on how about this? Could we try this? Chris and I met with United Way, that just to address the fact that, what they say, 4,000 to 5,000 people from 18 to 25 in Lubbock don't have a job. Right. Why? Right. What issues are causing this?
Yeah, because there's openings.
It's a huge answer, but until we all get together and start talking about it and not just complaining, well, no one wants to work. Yeah, we know that. Okay, why? And why are their attitudes are like this? And what can we help address by meeting and creating these relationships?
I appreciate so much you guys doing everything you can to remove those barriers and to try to increase those things. And loved being a part of this. I'm super excited about the Construction Collaborative starting off. Just really looking forward to that. If somebody is in another state or another place, how do they get connected? What do they do? Or would you guys be willing to visit with them? How can
Absolutely.
they connect with
we'll
you guys?
We'll visit with anyone. Chris and I will meet or visit with anyone.
Just have them call your cell phone number.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
And then, we're happy to visit with them. And we've got connections with the U.S. Chamber. We still have contacts there. We've got our state partners that are implementing TPM that we can reach out to. We'll figure it out for them.
And this is available to anybody, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce blew me away. When I got to go there in person, it is literally across from the White House.
Oh, wow.
And it's just an incredible program. And then they started this TPM Academy, and they are constantly changing it to improve and make it better. So it's easier to facilitate. It's easier for the programs to go through and learn. And so, just U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and it's TPM Academy.
TPM Academy. Right on. Anything else you guys want to share?
Just thank you. Thank you for your interest in the program. And you've participated in the program for years, as well as all of our school districts, CTE coordinators, and Amy Baker, and you guys have always been great to work with, and we're very, very fortunate to have you.
And your door's always open. You said, we want all businesses in here.
That's
Come
right.
on, because I was worried. Chris said, well, we may be reaching capacity for this tour. And you said, no, if this fills up, we'll do another one.
That's right.
Please
Bring them
come
all.
in here.
Bring them all. I love showing people around this building, and I love talking about not just the place in the district we work, but our students.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's the cool thing about like a podcast like this is our students are not unique.
No.
There are amazing kids all across this nation that just need that opportunity, just need that extra, whether it's an industry-based certification or an extra class or maybe a lunch and learn at middle school. You just never know. So, well, guys, thank you so much for being a part of our podcast today. I appreciate what you guys are doing. If you're interested in finding out any more, make sure you hit up the Chamber of Commerce. And if you need help, let us know. We'll get you connected with these guys. Thank you guys for listening today and watching today, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you.
You can watch and listen to all episodes of the CTE Podcast on Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Podcast, and LubbockISDTV.com.